Well, the World Cup of Soccer goes on, but not for Canada. James Sharman is with us to discuss, as he has throughout this tournament and even before. You're not really surprised, are you?
No, I'm not. I mean, listen, obviously we had great hopes and perhaps some naive expectations in some parts, but no, I mean, when that draw was made, it was pretty clear that Canada was in tough to qualify. Now, we thought Belgium would be the key to that group. They weren't very good, but Croatia was, and Morocco is a team that's just really emerged on the world scene. So I think a lot of people had their eyes opened watching these games, just where Canada's at. But personally, not surprised. I think it kind of went as I expected.
It might be too soon to ask the question, James, but did we learn anything?
We learned that as much as Canada can now play and be competitive with better nations, there's still a gulf between Canada and the rest. I think the big query entering this World Cup for Canada was they'd only really played CONCACAF teams in the last number of years. Really hadn't really played European teams or African teams. So where was the level of skill compared to the two regions? And this showed us that the gulf is pretty big still. It's closing. There's progress being made, but at this point, Canada's still fighting quite a battle to be competitive on that world stage, and the world's only getting bigger. Seeing these other smaller nations having good World Cups, some of the bigger nations having bad World Cups. So the world's getting bigger, and Canada's in that mix somewhere.
So, but just curiosity, how do you arrange for friendlies against bigger countries? I mean, it takes reputation, doesn't it? And
it does, and that's why it's a good thing. It's a great point. And listen, during COVID, of course, too, there was less opportunity to travel outside CONCACAF. The long qualifying campaign, the Nations League, there isn't much opportunity. But now, a couple of things really. Well, now Canada is more of a destination, perhaps for other teams in friendly windows. Now, maybe that's in Canada, maybe it's having European-based camps. But because they've made some noise in the world stage, because people now know about some of their players, Alphonso Davies is becoming a household name. I think you're going to see better teams signing up to play Canada, especially with the World Cup being in Canada in 2026. Add in there's one caveat, which is, again, purely speculation, but it's being whispered right now, is that Copa America, which is one of the great tournaments in world football, South America, they might expand for 2024, I believe it is, where they might wrap in some of the North American teams, maybe merge a Gold Cup. Copa America is being discussed. If that's the case, then that's incredible. That's how you get those big opponents. That's how you improve by playing better teams. So I think in that regard, we're in pretty good shape.
It occurs to me that money is going to be an issue with this, because if you have and you travel to Europe or South America or whatever for friendlies, which I think is what you're saying is important for Canada and kind of a next step, that's dollars and cents. Do you think we will see an input of significant money to the Canadian soccer program as a result of the World Cup performance?
Well, we're seeing some deals being finalized the last few weeks, some bigger deals we haven't seen before. Will corporate Canada wake up? I mean, you guys probably know better than me. I don't know. There's only so much money out there, right? But with a host nation, I know it's only 10 games coming up, maybe 10 games in 2026. There is some allure there to grow the sport between now and then. So hopefully that's the money comes from the private sector, because they ain't going to get it from the public sector, let's be honest. The money coming there from FIFA is a large part of that's going to be going to the players eventually. So it's got to come from private money. I don't know. I hope so. But like I said, there's been some bigger deals the last few weeks. There's more on the way apparently, but are they, tens of millions of dollars? Probably not.
Is there a big corporate sponsor out there for them, John?
Well, it looks like CIBC, who have been on the outside of the sports realm for a while. Scotiabank's big in hockey. BMO's got some. It looks like CIBC's trying to get back into sports, which would be really positive. I mean, in our lifetime, Bob, we've gone from breweries to airlines, and now we're into banks. So in trying to get sponsorship dollars, but to me, there has to be a lead sponsor. It has to be somebody with deep pockets, and no deeper pockets than one of the big five banks in our country.
Yeah, that's the one. I think that's the one that's gonna bring a fair amount of money in. I know part of John Herdman's responsibilities has been talking to these people as well, talking to money men, so to speak, and bringing in private money. He's been doing that for a long time. So again, we talk about his future. It's more than just the football itself, right? It's his relationships off the field as well, because he's been doing the job of several people, I think, in the last number of months, bringing more money into the program.
Well, that's a good point, because was Soccer Canada ready for this platform? Was it ready to do what our friend Brian Cooper's trying to do it with Basketball Canada? We do know, with all the controversy around Hockey Canada, they can still sell stuff, and they have a group to sell. Is Soccer Canada prepared for that?
I wonder if they were caught off guard somewhat. Canada Soccer Business, controversial as it is, was formed to make money. That's Scott Mitchell and his group, right? They've got a lot of obviously history in sports in this country, and they know how to make money. Now their cut is, I guess, the controversial aspect, right? How much money is going to be going to Canada Soccer itself? But most governing bodies have a private firm doing their marketing for them, and that business side of things, certainly. But I think they were caught off guard somewhat qualifying when they did. There's lots of evidence to suggest that, right? From not having the right shirts for a World Cup would be one of them, right? So there's certainly concerns there. But now we're going to find out, right? If they rush to 2022 to the World Cup, now they've got plenty of time to prepare for 2026, and it's a lot of pressure on them to make it work properly.
And James, to me, the bigger story might be, and it kind of got buried a little bit, and I think it's gonna rear its ugly head again, is the relationship between the players and the organized and Soccer Canada. How would you define that relationship?
Yeah, it seems to be broken still. There's no deal signed, right? And that was entering the World Cup. Will they get it done? Well, it wasn't done. Now, anything they decide will be retroactive to, this World Cup and this last cycle. But there's clearly big animosity between the two groups if they haven't got a deal done just yet. And now they have to get that thing done. The last I heard, they were talking that they're pretty close to agreement. Image rights is one thing that's still up in the air. I know Fonzie signed his own personal image rights deal. You'll see some other players probably do the same thing, but as a collective, that's been some stumbling block. So we'll see. But you're right; it's gone very quiet during the World Cup. I'm sure that was agreed on both parties. Let's put that to the side. Just focus on the football right now. Now the football's over. They've got to get this thing done.